Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to my dev vlog on Future Warfare. So I'm gonna be doing a different approach this time around. I want to do more of a step-by-step approach, showing you the process of what I'm doing to create these animations. In this video, I'm going to be showing the process I used to create the walking animation and the attacking animation for the Galaxian Tempest. The Galaxian Tempest is going to be an energy sword wielder. So this unit will be a melee unit and will have very fast movement speed to boot. So when I'm trying to create an animation in Photoshop, I try to make as many layers as possible. Usually the more the better. And some of these layers I will copy and paste between frames. Such as in this example, the main torso armor, I copy and paste, and the boots down here at the bottom. The reason for that is because I don't need to redraw them, since the armor pieces aren't going to be shifting, or their forms won't be like changing. Whereas the legs and the arms, I'm going to have to be drawing a sketch for each of the frames, which is what the black outlines are here. And I'll use a black brush for that. And then I'll set the opacity down to 50%. And then I'll create another layer on top of that. And that's what this green layer will be for the leg. And I'll just outline the sketch and then fill in the rest. And what I'm doing here is I'm checking between the frames to make sure that the movements look fluid and there's not like too much movement between the frames. So I went ahead and started the next 5 frames with the sole focus on just the boots or the feet, just so that I can get where the feet position would be in the walking animation. And I'm mainly just focusing on getting a consistent motion between each frame, because I don't want any inconsistency between the positioning of each frame, since that would cause the animation to look pretty choppy. So I'm just trying to create a good base to build the rest of the animation off of. Alright, so I got all 20 frames finished for the walking animation. And while doing so, I came up with a new method for creating the shadows. And I'm very pleased with finding this out. Because I was pretty unhappy with the way my shadows looked before. I would just try to trace right behind whatever object I wanted to cast a shadow on. And it didn't look too good, it didn't look too clean. But so what I found out was to duplicate, let's say in this example I'm duplicate this like leg, and I'm gonna burn it, so that's gonna make it entirely black. Then I'm gonna put it right behind the original layer. And then I'm gonna reduce the opacity down, so I think about 20-ish%. And it's gonna create a much cleaner looking shadow than as if I were to try to trace it myself. And not even does it look cleaner, I think it is also much faster. So I'm just going back right here and replacing all my old shadows with the new method. Alright, so lastly, for the walking animation, I'm going to add the energy sword. And I'm just going to be adding this to each of the frames and create a motion going along with the hand. Alright. So now I have all the sprites finished for this animation. I imported it straight into Unity. And this is the finished product of the walking animation. Next, I'm going to start working on the attack animation for the Galaxian Tempest. And first thing I want to focus on, just like with the walking animation, I was focusing on the boots first. I'm going to be focusing on the hands and the sword, because that's where the most motion is going to be focused on in this animation. So I'm just kind of see where the sword's going to end up and where it starts, so that I can mentally fill in the blanks with the in-between frames. So for the first frame, I've actually decided that I'm not going to be using it, just because the way the Galaxian Tempest's arms its position looks more like a block to me rather than preparing for a swing. So I might reuse this animation for like a skill that can be purchased for the Galaxian Tempest with like a parry attack. Alright, so with redoing the first animation, I'm gonna strictly focus on where the hand's gonna be positioned at the start, and then I'll fill in the rest with the arms. And what I'm going to be doing here is I'm selecting all the layers of the main body, and I'm going to rotate it back a bit, just to give also the rest of the body a sense of motion along with the swing. Now that I have the hands positioned, I'm gonna focus on sketching out the rest of the arm, and as well as the legs. And I'm kind of just doing the same step here, creating the sketches for the arms and the legs. But I'm using a ghosting method of the last frame so that I can see where my previous placements were and sketches were, so that I can try to get as accurate of movements as possible. Okay, so I've finished all the frames for this animation, and this is the finished product. I also added a small little effect to kind of give this swing a more oomph. And I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, since this is like my first time ever experimenting with something like that. Alright, so finally I had imported the attack animation as well, and I did just a little bit of coding so that when an enemy stands in front of the Galaxian Tempest, she will strike, and switch over to the attack animation. Cool, so that's going to be it for this devlog. In the next one, I'm going to be finishing up the Galaxian Tempest, mostly focusing on coding, whereas this video was focused on getting the animations done first. But yeah, if there's anything in the video that you'd like me to get in more detail or have me to explain to the best of my ability, I would be more than happy to in another video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. Have a good one.